Beautiful, how you doing today? Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. Please don't forget to hit subscribe. So in this video, again, I am doing kind of like a requested video. I got a comment from Boogie. How you doing, girl? I believe, Boogie, you a girl. Either a girl or a gay guy, because you said you have a man in prison. But I think Boogie's a girl, my home girl. How you doing? But you had left a comment saying that you wanted me to check out Big Herc's video. There's this guy, Big Herc. He has a YouTube channel. It's big, called Fresh Out the Penitentiary. And I've heard of this guy, but I had never actually seen any of his videos until checking out this one. If you haven't seen his video, it's talking about, well, I think the title is like Chocolate Thunder, something like that. We will get into it. But if you haven't seen his video, I linked his video in the description, and I'm probably actually gonna pin like a comment down below so you can check it out and see what you guys think. And I would recommend obviously watching that before you watch my video, because otherwise you're not really gonna know what I'm talking about. But I did check it out, and I gotta tell you, actually, I agreed with everything that was in that video. I don't know what like your thoughts were while you were watching it. Maybe you just wanted to see if this is the type of person that I'm talking about, because I know in a lot of my videos I'd be saying like, these guys out here lying, and they do, and I was definitely looking at him suspect when I wrote some notes so this way I don't get like, I don't forget anything. But I got my little handy dandy. Yeah, but so right off the bat when they got talking, he had said, the person, I forgot the guy's name, but the person that he was interviewing had said, like, he was housed in a level 4 prison, and doing time around people who are serving like 20, 30, 40, 50, double life, triple life, like people who are doing a long amount of time. And actually, I would think at a level 4, it's probably like 20 years, serving 20 years is probably on the smaller end of the people that you come across. Most people there are probably doing like 50 and up, First off, he had said that he like was trying to skate around the question when people would like ask about time or something like that. And I definitely could relate with that, because I served 3.5 years. The first year was in the jail, and the last 2.5 years was actually in the prison. And I, like him, learned very quickly that you do not want to be discussing your time, especially when you have short time. The people who have a lot of time, yeah, they say their time like nothing because it don't really matter to them or to whoever's listening. But when you have short time, like I would say 8 years, I was at a level 3 prison. He said he was at a level 4. At a level 3, that's obviously a lower level. So people that I was around the average person was 12, 15, 18, 20, 25 years. Like, that's kind of like the average person that I was around. Me doing only 3 years. There was people that like, they were like, I wish I had just had 3 years left. You know what I mean? Like, let alone I'm only serving 3 years. I learned very quickly it is not a good idea to share your time, because people are jealous of that. Nobody wants to be in prison. Nobody wants to be there. And not only will people just like hate on you just in general, but you have people that actually will try to trick up your time. Trick up your time, meaning get you hemmed up in a situation that you catch a charge and now you're staying longer, or they just try to entice you with things that you'll get in trouble in order to stay longer. Or if they really don't like you and they have like a connection to the administration in some way, they will actually like fuck up your paperwork. Like, maybe not them specifically, but whoever it is that they know that works with the administration or the faculty themselves, they might be able to get into the office, and like, you have inmate advisors, and you have inmate like assistants, to different people who work at the facility. Not everybody has an inmate assistant, but some people do, like some teachers or whoever. And they will actually, maybe they might get a secret moment where they can actually like mess up your time. So right off the bat, the only reason I even bring that point up, because I'm sure it's like, okay, that ain't that big of a deal. Let's get into the actual like meat of the video, like what he was talking about, you know. But my point in saying that is just that right off the bat, that did already kind of make me feel like, okay, you know, they ain't bullshitting. You know, some people bullshit, but even saying like little things like that, that's only something, you know, somebody in there like would know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't really want to be talking about your time. So then he moves on to discussing when he got to level 4 and he was classified and he moved into the cell. He moved into the cell with some guy, some tall, dark, humongous guy named Chocolate Thunder, honey, okay? And Chocolate Thunder said to him, and I quote, "You're pretty. I'm going up in your butthole." Now, couple of things. One is, keep in mind that this person was at a level 4 prison, and level 4 prisons definitely are more dangerous than level 3 prisons, you know. And I told you in a couple of videos, but I know especially in my what does PREA mean video or whatever. PREA is the Prison Rape Elimination Act. And it don't really do shit, which that's something else they had mentioned. They had talked about the guard, when the guard was like, you better get out my face or whatever. And they were like, yeah, because, you know, they don't really none of that stuff really helps you in there. Like, the people, they ain't for you. Just like people don't care about prisoners out here. The people working there really don't. They know that people don't care about prisoners. And then they themselves, it's like, they view them as like low-life dogs. Half the guards don't even want to see people leave the prison. Like, it's like there's like this mentality that once you're there for life. You could be serving 3 years, for example, and they treat you like you're there for life. You ain't leaving out of here. But anyway, regardless of PREA being in place or not, there is rapes that do happen. It's not as common as it used to be, but it still does happen. For example, like this guy, it makes sense to me that this guy that Big Herc was interviewing had said that he did see it. You know what I'm saying? Often, and it does happen. He was at a level 4 prison. I believe him. I think he was telling the truth. But Big Herc, for example, he said he had never personally seen it, but he had heard about it. That's kind of like me. I'd never seen somebody get raped, but I did know about different times that it did happen, because I was on the compound. You know, when I got to the state facility, which is the first prison that I went to, within the first week that I was there, it just so happened somebody got raped in the kitchen, chow hall. Like, you know, it wasn't during chow times, it was during, like, you know, off busy times or whatever, like when the kitchen workers were just in there like fixing food. Somebody got raped in the kitchen chow hall. And then when I went to the private facility, there was 2 different times right off the bat that come to mind that somebody was raped. One while I was in the program, somebody got raped, and another time in the regular pod before I got to the program. And just like this guy is saying about Chocolate Thunder, the reason why I believe this, okay, first of all, when he first mentioned this person, I was initially like rolling my eyes, because I was thinking like, here we go, because what I thought that he was going to do, and then I would have had a whole different opinion about this whole video. I would have felt like the motherfucker is lying. I would have been ready, honey. I would have been ready to expose and be like, oh, you know, he full of shit because of XYZ, blah 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 blah. But he wasn't. He actually was telling the truth. I thought that when he was going to mention Chocolate Thunder, that it was going to be some big ass queen, you know what I mean, somebody like, picture me, you know, however many feet taller and buffer or whatever, but I'm, you know, obviously a flaming queen who's just after his butthole or something like that. That's the type of bullshit that I'm always, like, frustrated about. I'm always frustrated about how guys will try to paint the booty bandits, for example, or just the regular gay people as they're in there trying to get the men. They're trying to prey on the men. You know, it's like, you know, that is lies. That's the lies that I'm talking about. That, or like I've also said in other videos, that gay people are like, you know, ostracized or alienated or picked on all the time. That's also lies too. The only people who really have like hardcore issues with the gays in prison are gang members. And even with gang members, they mess around with the gay people too, on the low. But when he was talking about how this guy was approaching him like that, that goes back to the video that I had made, what does Priya mean? In that video, and I think probably a couple others, I have said, like, the people who really are in jeopardy of being raped, like, the most, are actually regular guys, regular straight guys, or, you know, sex offenders, like child molesters and stuff like that. Child molesters are always exploited, for one, and then additionally, in addition to being exploited, they run the risk of somebody attacking them sexually assaulting them, because people are angry that that's why they're here. They're here for sexually assaulting somebody, a person, a child, or something. So it's like, karma's gonna get you, bitch, type of thing. That's how people feel about it. That's how people view it. Frankly, you know, hey. But straight, regular guys who are pretty, like how he was saying that this guy was saying that he's pretty, they're the ones that actually possibly could get raped. Now, in my experience, when I was in prison, the people who did happen to them, it was because of some kind of disrespect. Like, either they owed bills and skipped out on the bills, or they just talking sideways, talking crazy out their mouth, you know, saying all kinds of just outlandish stuff to the person, maybe embarrass them in front of like a group of people or friends or something like that, you know, those are usually the cases where I have heard and seen you know, about somebody getting raped, is because there was some level of like disrespect. In terms of just, you look good and I want to take it kind of thing, I don't really think that happens too often anymore in these times that we're living in, but it still does happen. But even then, it's usually like how this guy had said. He said, you know, you're pretty and I'm gonna take your butthole. And the guy was like, no, you're gonna have to kill me first. And the dude kind of like could feel his energy that he's not joking about this. And he let it go, and then he got out the next day. I think that actually is a legitimate, honest, true story. For one, he was in a level 4 prison, and like I said, those are more dangerous. For two, I haven't actually commented on this a lot, really, on my channel, and I don't know why. I guess it just kind of like escaped my mind, or maybe I just feel bad about this, so I just really haven't wanted to really say this. But a lot of people in prison, don't really matter what levels, they have like issues. Like, when you're in prison, you come across a lot of different guys that they just not all the way there. They just kind of crazy, a little spaced out. Burnt is usually the expression that people use. That, like, if they're talking about somebody, they just be like, oh yeah, and you know he burnt, or whatever, you know, so and so, he was saying such and such, but you know that dude burnt, you know what I mean? Like, they're just kind of crazy. And I think either people come in like that, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, these are people who committed crimes, so, you know, maybe they're just not the smartest, the brightest, or they got some sort of underlining, you know, mental issue. Or I think people develop that over time of being in there. There's a lot of people that over time of being in prison, they become like just crazy. It's not a normal situation, you know? I mean, it's just not. It's not a normal situation. So some people, they just lose their mind. And three, the other reason why I could see that actually being a legitimate story is because of another point that they make later in the video, is that people test you in prison all the time. I don't know if any of you have seen this video, because it's one of my way earlier videos. Before I was like, actually it was right when I started making prison topic videos, and I was making them leading up to reading my prison diaries. There's a video, actually I'm going to put a card in it right now at this point in time. There's a card up at the top. This video right here is what I'm talking about. It's called Habits That I Made in Prison. So this way you can even see I ain't lying. I made this video a year ago, and here I am a year and some change later saying the same exact thing. When I first got out, I was so surprised by my behavior. I thought that, like, you know, especially I didn't even serve that much time. Like, I thought that I'd just come out and I'd be back to normal right away, like just open up and just feel, warm and welcoming and social the way that I was before I went in. Before I went in, I was obviously a normal person. I had social skills. I didn't feel awkward around people. I didn't feel tense or anything like that. But being in there, I was very unaware of how I naturally became guarded. And it's just a natural thing that happens. And so then I've heard other people talk about this before I got released, like people that I was around in prison. They would be like, oh yeah, when I first got out, or when you first get out, you'll notice blah blah blah, like that you're kind of tense around people. And I was like going to the gas station, Walmart, the grocery store, wherever, I would feel so uncomfortable around people, especially because people, you might not even notice it, because now I don't even notice it anymore, but people don't, people do not really check their space that often, unless somebody obviously is in your space. But that's how comfortable you get around people. You know what I mean? Like, if you're getting something in an aisle and somebody else is in the aisle, you're not like counting how many people are in the aisle with you. But it's like, but because of my guards, yes, if I'm walking into an aisle, I notice immediately how many, not now, but then, I notice immediately how many people are in the aisle and what is my proximity to these people. Like, it's something that I noticed right away. And it's because of how naturally uncomfortable I had become around people because of stuff like this. Like, in prison, people are constantly trying you. Everything means something. Nobody talks, I've said this before, nobody talks to anybody in prison for no reason. There is always a reason behind the interaction. There is something that the person is wanting from you, getting from you, or thinking that they can get from you. You know what I'm saying? Something. There's always a reason or an advantage of why somebody is communicating with you in prison. And you really start thinking like that all the time, and it kind of translates out here. But so I do think that the guy was definitely just trying to like test him to see if he could get it, and then obviously when he saw that he couldn't, then that's why he had him moved the next day. That I really 100% believe that story. And it also supports what I be saying all the time, because even though they really weren't making a point of this, but they actually made my point. All these videos that I make all the time saying this shit, they actually said my point. Because then the guy, he said there are homosexuals in there, he's like feminine guys, and then he was like, but you gotta pay for them. He said like, the shot callers, those are the guys that have the homosexuals. Bam! Don't I say that all the time? The homosexuals. So it's like, this is exactly my point. This is why I say that it's such a crazy situation, because either you have gang members that don't let you in the cell, you're scared, you know what I mean, like, to where you're going to sit in the chow hall, which I'm getting to that. That's going to be like my last point, is when they were talking about the chow hall situation, the tables and stuff like that. But it's like, he was telling the truth about that too, that there's specific tables for certain groups of people, Bloods gang, Crips gang. They were saying, I guess, like some West Coast gangs that I never even heard of. But I'm sure they exist. He said like the Vipers and somebody else. But I was thinking in my mind, like, those must be West Coast, like California gangs or something. But here in Virginia, the only gangs that I knew about was MS-13, and that's not even a popular gang in prison. It's just the state facility that I was at. There was a lot of Spanish people there, and that's mainly where they had the MS-13 gang. But when I went to the private facility, they only really had Bloods and Crips that I'm aware of. The state facility also had Bloods and Crips, MS-13, and Gangster Disciples. But yeah, and they have specific phones that they use, certain shower stalls that they use, certain tables that they sit at, and you're not allowed to use their stuff. Like, you will be stabbed if you do. So that's why it was intimidating for me, because it's like, it's not like school where it's like you can just go up and ask, oh, where do these people sit and where do they sit, so this way I don't go. Ain't nobody talking or telling me the rules or anything like that. You just need to know this shit, you know what I mean? So that's why when I first got to prison, oh my gosh, you got to eat. I have to eat. There's 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And my anxiety would be through the roof every chow for the first probably 2 weeks. probably like 2 weeks that I was in prison. The first two, I mean, it stayed like that up until I started having my own friends, and I knew, and I would sit with different people that I knew. But I mean, and even then, I always had anxiety, like, going into chow, just because everybody, I'm a queen, I'm a gay guy, so it's like, of course, as soon as I walk in, whether I'm by myself or with people, like, people were looking, heads turning, it's like, oh my god, I'm just trying to get my damn tray, just like you, like, what, did I say, hi, Lucky's here, everybody, like, I didn't say shit, I just walked in to get my fucking tray, calm yourself, but it's like, there's only but 10 gay guys on a compound. Everybody knows who they are. Trust and believe that. You know what I mean? It's a lot of anxiety. But yeah, I definitely like that point where he was saying that, the homosexuals, they do exist, but you got to pay them. Which also supports what I'm saying, that usually straight guys are the ones more at risk of being raped. Even though that doesn't seem like it, you would think that the gay guys are. But the reason why we're not is because we willingly have sex with guys. We willingly suck guys' dicks. You know what I'm saying? And they know this. Like, the other guys know this. So rather than try to force somebody to do that, all you need to do is charm them. And that's why I say that, ironically, gay people are actually treated really good in prison. I mean, it's one or the other. Either you come across the people that don't want shit, to do with you, and that could be kind of tense and scary, but once you find, your people and get into your groove or whatever and get situated, then it's like gay people are kind of treated like the best, actually, in prison. To be honest, like they really are treated like the best, because the guys, they want pussycats, Hello Kitty, soy burgers. But yeah, that's all. I mean, that's really my comments for that. And then, yeah, when he said, when he was talking about the tables, I mentioned that. And then he said, oh, the part where he said, now you got an enemy simply over something as simple as tables. Yeah, that's something that I actually noticed at the jail before I even coming to prison. That's just like an institutional type of thing, like an incarcerated, you're locked up type of thing. Emotions are so high when people are locked up. They are angry, they don't want to be here, they're around people that they don't like, that, it's like you're forced to sleep around these people and eat your meals and spend the entire day. It's a very tense environment. So he was just referring to the gang member status, that, like, okay, tables, if you cross in the way or go to the wrong table or something like that, they're going to stab you or whatever. It's not really quite like that, but I mean, you never know. You don't know. I mean, who am I to say? I'm not sitting here saying that he was lying. I mean, you don't know, maybe not, but it is definitely a serious thing. It is about respect, you respect the gang, you respect their areas, stay in your lane, that's it, so yeah. But my point is that it's kind of like that all across the board, though, not just only gangs, but regular people, even the queens, for example. Me coming up into a pod, and if I just even, like, speak to a guy, like, okay, I could come into a new pod and I put my stuff into the cell and I want to make a soup because I'm hungry, okay? Harmless. I take my little soup in my bowl and I walk downstairs, go to the microwave to heat up the soup, and there's somebody already at the microwave, a guy, obviously, and I'm just like, oh, who has behind you? And he's like, you got it. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. And then he's just like, so, you just moved in, or you in cell with such and such or whatever, they good peoples? And I'm like, yeah, I haven't really spoken to them yet, but they seem pretty nice or whatever. And then he's just like, all right, well, if you ever got any problems, you holler at me. My name's Smoke. I'm in cell such and such or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, thank you, whatever. Little did I know, bitch, that guy that just was being so friendly to me has actually been dealing with Cookie, you know what I'm saying, all of this time. This bitch seen me interacting with him. He made conversation, by the way. I just asked who was next behind the microwave, you know what I mean? But he made conversation with me, Now I am an enemy to this bitch. And she, without even knowing me, without knowing anything about me, she is already plotting how to get me the fuck out of this pod. I am not exaggerating. I am speaking from literal personal experience. And it used to blow my mind. Like, I couldn't believe sometimes, you know what I mean? But the only reason I even say that is just because he was mentioning about the tables. But they did kind of say that in general, because then they were just like, you know, but everything means something in there. People are always looking for ways of how they can get over you. He mentioned about like the bacon or whatever, something like if somebody was to just be like, hey, yo, let me get you a bacon. And, you know, and he said he held the fork up to the guy's eyes. That's where I was thinking. I was like, okay, he might be putting on shows for YouTube. But, but I mean, again, like I say, who am I to say he didn't? I don't know. It is literally that type of environment. Like, he really could have been 100% telling exactly the way things went. You know, the chocolate thunder, I definitely believe, you know, because I've heard stories like that, you know, myself. Like, I've met guys where they told me crazy stuff in prison. I'm in prison, and they're telling me about, you know, so-and-so that just did what. And I've known guys like the chocolate thunder, because mind you, this chocolate thunder dude, really, he actually is prime, like, bachelor of who would be trying to get to people like me. Like, he would be what I would classify as a booty bandit. In my video where I'm like, oh, what's a prison booty bandit? That dude is a bona fide, genuine prison booty bandit. You know what I'm saying? So obviously he would have talked to somebody like me. But I've known people that are similar like that. Like, they not only want to get with the queens, but if they can't get a queen, they just like any pretty boy. And they'll try to see how far they can get with them. Either by force, if they have to, or ideally by charming the guy. And you can do that even with regular guys too. Like, queens, obviously, we know how you charm queens. But they do it with the guys too, because everybody's struggling in there. So they'll try to offer the person commissary, they'll try to befriend them, play cards with them, blah blah, just get chummy with the person. And then they start hanging out in the cell, they might smoke up with the person and stuff like that. And then when they smoking, that's when they doing all this number, you know what I mean, like while they just sitting chilling. And it's like, I've heard stories, I'm telling you, I've heard stories and I've seen it with my own eyes, you know what I mean. Like, yeah, that video, they're legit. You know, I haven't watched much of Big Herc, but I like him. He's pretty cool, and he seems straight up, you know. There's other people, I'm not going to name names. If somebody, like, suggests another video, I guess, for me to watch and comment on, and if I do feel like somebody is full of shit, I will definitely say it then, you know what I mean. But as far as, like, just outright calling somebody out right now, I'm not going to do that. But there is a couple of people that come to my mind that are like online right now that I feel like they a bunch of bullshit. Just only from the little bit that I had seen from them, you know what I mean? It just seemed like a crock of shit. But there's a lot of people online full of shit, not just in prison, you know what I mean, but all over the internet, you know. Like, I just don't want to be one of them. Like, I like telling you guys my genuine, honest opinion about stuff, and especially as like a gay person, because it just blew my mind that this is how it is in there, you know. Like, I never would have thought that it was like this, you know. And then when you come out and you see that ain't nobody talking about it, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, how are y'all keeping this just one big wrapped up secret, you know? But yeah, all in all, my review, I guess, would be, I liked it. It was a good video. You know, I didn't smell no bullshit. You know, I thought that it was a great video, you know. So, thank you for the comment, though, Boogie. I loved it. I just keep calling you Boogie. I love that song. What is it? Let's Get Down and Boogie or something like that. Like an old 60s song. But yeah, so thank you for the comment. This is fun, you know. I'm gonna keep, there's a couple other comments that I've seen where I'm gonna make some more videos like this, like just chatting. This, I didn't exactly plan what I was gonna say. I just kind of like took some notes while I was watching the video, just on the fly, you know. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you want me to check out somebody else and, you know, tell you what I think, I don't mind at all. I think it's really cool. And don't forget to subscribe. I love you guys. Be safe out there. Well, you know what I mean. We all out here. But be safe where you're at, please. Be safe, please. Alright. Love you. Bye.